Very snowy, very compacted here. I've just been round the corner for a cup of coffee, and everybody is walking like they've wet themselves. Quite treacherous, solid blocks of snow compacted. So it was absolutely the right thing not to do to open the shop. Our car park, I couldn't clear it all. I wouldn't even try to clear it all. And I've seen it before, like a skating rink, and no ball of wool is worth a broken hip. So, because I'm not at the shop, I shall obviously be knitting, and I miss talking about knitting. So I just thought I'd do this because I saw this as I was scrolling on my phone in bed this morning, which I thought was quite interesting. Sizing of jumpers. It was a professional designer. I'm not going to say who it was because I've completely forgotten anyway, and I wouldn't because, you know. The designer was saying about how to get the correct fit. It was only a short video and clearly looked like it was one of a series. And she was saying to get the right fit, she tells people to measure top of the bust right under the armpits and fullest part of the bust. Now, top part of the bust, that's a bra measurement as far as I'm concerned. I've never heard of that to do with jumpers, but I'm not a designer of jumpers, so what do I know? But the one thing I just wanted to mention is obviously people consider their bust measurement, and that is the one of the main measurements that you see on a pattern. But it's usually the only width measurement. Obviously, if something's A-line, you'll get a different measurement, or if something's tapered, or blah, blah, blah. So some people will just consider their bust measurement. Oh, I'm a 36. So they'll look at the measurement that says 36. Now, most patterns, everybody knows that most of my patterns come off Ravelry from independent designers. They don't tend to put sizes on them. They just will put not even always the bust measurement or the chest measurement recommended. So in the olden days, you used to get a pattern that would say size 12, say 36, and then actual size, maybe it would come up 38. Most patterns I use will just give you the actual measurement. So just to give you an idea, I've got tape measures in the shop, and if people are unsure, we always measure people. But my recommendation, the way I knit all my knits, and people who know me know how my knits fit, like this one, everything's quite boxy. I always aim for 10 inches of ease, which people think sounds absolutely horrendous. And automatically, if you say that, people will put a tape measure around the boobs and hold it out there. Oh my God, 10 inches, that's absolutely enormous. But through trial and error, I know that, and we all know that a jumper doesn't stand out there on you. It hangs off your shoulders, over your boobs, down. And so the 10 inches of ease on me is all around, and that is the fit I like. Obviously, it's very boxy, but that is how I wear things. Obviously, if that isn't your thing, absolutely brilliant. But what people tend not to consider and come unstuck is the hip measurement. Now, obviously, a jumper is going to hang down, and if you've done it quite snug or just a couple of inches ease on your boobs, that's great if that's the way you like it to fit. But bear in mind what you are wearing on the bottom. If you do have a bit of a menopausal middle, as a lot of us do, it could catch there. And if you're anything like me, if anything is a little bit too fitted there, you end up pulling at it and fussing with it and feeling uncomfortable. So the way I make things with this huge amount of ease that I use, they just float over a dress or over my jeans, give me a little bit of room, and that to me is a far more flattering fit. Now, as I said before, there is some trial and error to this. It does take you a little bit of time to get your preferred fit. Obviously, if you're doing top down, it gives you a bit more grace because you can have it fitting a bit more snugly over your boobs, and then potentially you can add either a few more stitches in under the arms, or potentially, like with this one, I put a few increases as I was going down the body because I wasn't convinced it was going to be the size I wanted it to. I don't like A-line, that's not my thing, so this was very gradual and very few just to give me a little bit more room. So if you're doing top down, and to be honest, the more I knit, that is more and more my preferred, because you can get your length spot on. For instance, with this jumper, I undid the bottom and took a little bit off. Yeah, I took a bit off this one to make sure I was happy, and I have long sleeve phobia. So again, you can just make sure your sleeves are absolutely perfect. So that is what I do. And the other thing to do, I think is really important before you jump into a project, is measure your favourite item. Because again, you might say, oh, I'm a size 12, so 36, that'll be absolutely fine for me. The fact that you've bought a size 12 from Next, Marks and Spencer's, Primark, John Lewis, wherever you've bought it from, you don't actually know how much that measures, because you're not going to measure it. You just try it on, it fits you, you're happy, it's flattering, the end. So it's a good idea to get your favourite jumper, fit, sweatshirt, whatever. And I think be surprised that it's probably bigger than you think. You know, I think when we were young, it was sort of like, oh my God, I'm not buying anything that size. Now, couldn't give a stuff, want it to be comfortable. So that's what I think. Those are my tips. That's how I approach things, because again, this is a handmade item. You're spending a lot of time on it. You want it to fit really, really well. Lots and lots of little things that we can employ to make things more flattering. So if you ever get stuck, next project you buy from me, just ask. That's not a problem.